Okay, so to begin with paper chromatography, you're going to want a strip of chromatography paper and a pencil. Use the pencil to draw a line horizontal along the bottom of the chromatography paper about a half a centimeter away from the edge. In this case, we'll be using Sharpies and their ink as our sample solution. Take the Sharpie and draw a small dot on that axis line that you've created. We'll give you examples later on in this video of how big you can go without making everything blurry. Next, set your paper or silica gel plate into a beaker that has about a half a centimeter of ethanol in it. You'll want the paper to be able to stand up and not touch the sides, as we'll explain later. In this instance, we're using an actual silica gel template so that we can show what it looks like with the real thing. For the rest of the video, we'll be using paper chromatography because it's less expensive.
So here we're using paper chromatography, and it's good to have a watch glass to control the evaporation of the ethanol or whatever solvent you're using. And this is a very good example of paper chromatography. So here we note the difference between ethanol and water as the solvent. And on the left we have ethanol, on the right we have water, and clearly ethanol is a much better solvent than water.
Okay, so in this panel, we're going to have 3 different beakers running. In the left, we have 3 examples of blue ink from a highlighter, a Sharpie, and an Expo marker, respectively. It's a great example of how chromatography can be used to actually separate substances. In the middle, we have an example of a wide piece of chromatography paper and a big beaker being used to support 8 samples. It starts out fine, but as you can see, it gets a little murky towards the end, making it not a great idea. Finally, on the far right, we have an example where the chromatography paper was too tight and is touching the sides. As you can see, it forces them into the middle rather than giving good, clean, straight results.
This is our revised example of the best way you can use paper chromatography. It's best to leave about 1 centimeter of space between the dots and to use a beaker which has plenty of space.
It is important to use a soluble sample. This example uses colored pencils. Since it cannot dissolve in the ethanol, it cannot separate, and thus there is nothing to pull. UV light may be necessary to view results. In this case, we used it for the colored pencil sample, but found nothing of significance.
When you use sample dots that are too close, this is what normally happens. It gets very muddy and blended together. This is a compilation of all of our materials and the samples produced. Good luck and have fun separating your own stuff. Thanks for watching!